What's happening in West Texas sports? We have your answer from the Permian Basin to the South Plains to the Texas Panhandle. We have you covered. The area is rich in sports, and we're going to try to cover it all for you from the high schools up to the colleges and beyond. I'm Greg Kerr with KFDA TV in Amarillo. Thank you so much for coming along. We have a very expert group of panelists for us on West Texas Sports Extra. And here we go. Let's bring them in right now because I love this group and we have so much to talk about today. We're going to talk about high schools and colleges like I mentioned. First up, Zach Woodard, who is the sports director at KFDA TV in Amarillo. Pete Christie, the sports director at KCBD in Lubbock. And sports director Jensen Young from KOSA TV down in Midland, Odessa. Guys, thanks so much. Zach, if you would, start us off. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right, Greg, sports director here at KFDA. Been going about 5 months, 6 months as sports director. Been here since June of 2024. Got hired straight out of college. Born and raised in Arizona, pretty much Arizona fan base. I went to Arizona State, so I'm a Sun Devil till I die. So I got just transferred right from Arizona to the Texas Panhandle, and it has been a dream come true. This is what I've always wanted to do. Once I realized that my professional basketball career was not actually going to happen, I needed a plan B. And if you can't play sports, you can talk about them, and I can talk with the best of them. So living out the dream so far.
And Zach, I can fully understand what you're saying because during a sportscast last night you had on the rep tie, maroon and gold, and also You had a Arizona Sun Devil lapel pin going.
I did, yeah, and that was mainly because Kansas took down U of A. I don't know which one I like more, a University of Arizona loss or an Arizona State win, but it was nice watching Bill Self and the Jayhawks get a much-needed upset over those Wildcats.
All right, and Pete Christie, you've been in Lubbock now for quite a while. Tell us about your journey.
Well, I came to Lubbock in the late 90s and was here about 1 year and 7 months and sent one tape out. And somehow I got to Philadelphia, Market 7. And I never wanted to leave Lubbock, but the moral of the story is you don't think you're better than anybody and you don't think you're worse than anybody. I was nice to an intern, and that intern said, I'm going to become the boss and bring you back. And 7 years later, as I was getting a broadcast Emmy in Philadelphia, I got an 806 call from Benji Sneed. And he said, I'm the boss now. And he brought me back, and I've been back 21 years. I thank God every day I live in Lubbock, Texas. Absolutely true. Lubbock is awesome.
Well, what's among the coolest things you've been able to report on during your tenure in this industry?
Oh boy. I mean, here in town, I would say, going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame and being there with Zach Thomas a couple years ago, going to the national championship game that Texas Tech should have won and lost to Virginia in Minneapolis. Almost got to Paisley Park, the home of Prince. Met a dancer, and he almost got us into the building there. That didn't happen. But the Tech softball team going to the College World Series. Tech baseball going 4 times. So a lot of good stuff with Tech and a lot of high school state titles too. There's always something going on in sports, even in our little towns.
Right on. I like that, Pete. How about Jensen Young? You're out of Florida, right?
Yes, Florida boy, Sunshine State. That's where I'm from, and it's the best place to be, aside from obviously here in the Permian Basin. But so I'm about 3 years into being here in the Permian Basin, and like Pete said, there's always something going on sports-wise, whether it's high school, whether it's college. I mean, there's so much going on, and it's an absolute blast. It's been so much fun learning about high school football here in Texas, and coming from Florida, it is true. Everything is bigger here in Texas, including the high school stadiums. So definitely a lot of fun here in the Permian Basin.
Well, Jensen, there's been so much talk about a rivalry between Florida high school football and Texas high school football. They say they're the two best. What are your thoughts on that? Don't worry about alienating anyone. I mean, you've done both. So what has been your biggest impressions? And you're obviously covering a school, Permian, down there that is rich in history as well.
Yeah, I'd say that the support is a little bit more genuine in Texas, especially here in West Texas, that it really just is. It's a family thing. It's a community thing. Whereas with Florida, there is a lot more of kind of transferring to a bigger school like an IMG Academy kind of thing on the West Coast, where you get all the big talent coming in together. Whereas in Texas, it feels like a little bit more. Obviously, there is some transfers, but it feels a little bit more genuine in terms of high school football here in Texas.
Now, I got to ask you very quickly, did they make you watch Friday Night Lights before you took the job here to kind of give you a little schooling action?
No, they did not. But I quickly realized, wow, I work on the set of Friday Night Lights. How about that?
Yeah. Well, you know, the red team in that movie was my high school, Dallas Cardinals.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You learn something new every day. All right.
You sure do.
My journey is, I grew up in Dallas, went to Dallas Carter High School, went to 3 different colleges. Went to Weatherford College, North Texas, and also Central Oklahoma. I played basketball at Weatherford and Central Oklahoma. Knew I wasn't good enough to play in the NBA. That was even before the three-point line. Zach, don't say anything. I know it was a long time ago. Before the three-point line, I guess I could have used that. But at any rate, I figured, well, what can I do with my life? I knew sports, so I figured, well, I've got a good face for radio. Maybe I'll try to be a sports guy on radio. And how I got started on that very quickly at North Texas, I walked into the radio station one day, and I can't believe I had the nerve to do it. But anyway, I talked to the programming director, sports director, whoever he was. I said, you guys looking for any sportscasters? He goes, yeah, I got a show coming up at 4:30. You want to do it? I'm going, whoa, are you serious? And so he gave me some old wire copy. Pete, you might remember wire copy. And he said, rewrite that and you're on at 4:30. So I had about 2 hours to do it. And it took me about 2 hours to write 2 minutes worth of copy. Got on the air, didn't really make any mistakes at all. But that was my journey into sports broadcasting. And of course, it was the bug I needed, and it lit my fire. And that's how I got started in the industry. I started in San Angelo, Texas, went to Austin, went to Beaumont, went to Illinois, went to North Carolina, Oklahoma City, Fox Sports Southwest in Dallas. So I made pretty much 30 years out of sports, and now I've jumped into news for about 13 years, and I'm the news anchor at KFDA in Amarillo, and loving it up here in the Texas Panhandle. And you know why? Because it's dry up here. Living in Beaumont down on the Gulf Coast, oh my gosh, that humidity is enough to kill you. You know about that, Jensen, growing up in Florida, right?
Oh, seriously.
Yeah.
It is so different out here. Maybe a happy medium would be good between the two. I feel like I've been in the most humid aside from Hawaii, and then, the most dry possible out here in West Texas. So I'm looking for a happy medium somewhere,
Well, you'll find it. You'll find it. And I guess one of the coolest things, I've got to go to 3 Super Bowls, 2 with Dallas, 1 with the Carolina Panthers. So that was super exciting. And I'm going to tell you right now, Pete, you may know a little bit about this. And I've always told people if they like or don't like Texas A&M, that's a great place to watch a football game. But the Duke-Carolina basketball rivalry is unmatched. Sorry, Zach, I know Arizona State and Arizona is something else, but I covered, 16, 18 of those Duke-Carolina games, and man, that's just super. That is basketball heaven in through North Carolina there. So anyway, that's a little bit of my background. We're going to start things off talking about high school basketball, girls and boys. When we come back, you're watching West Texas Sports Xtra. We are back with West Texas Sports Xtra. Greg Kerr along with Zach Woodard, Pete Christie, and Jensen Young. All right, guys, let's start this off. We're going to talk high school basketball. We'll talk about the boys and girls, whichever order you want to go in. Zach, how about here in the Texas Panhandle? How's this shaping up as the girls get ready for the playoffs and the guys are getting very close?
Yeah, there are a ton of teams to talk about. I'm just going to note a few of them. It doesn't mean we don't love the teams equally. There's just like 80 of them to get through. So just a quick overview. Greg, you did mention it. The girls' side is officially over as far as the regular season. Tascosa is the outright district champion in 3-5A after a big win last night. And Coach Tabor's first year as head coach, he took over the reins and he leads the Lady Rebels to an outright district championship. Amarillo High right behind them. Very, very been close, but they are in those rankings. Tascosa is 10 and Amarillo High is 9. So we'll see, if that adds a little bit of fire, because TABC did have the Lady Sandies higher. We'll see if that promotes the Lady Rebs to push past and make another deep playoff run. In 4A, the Canyon Lady Eagles had another 14-0 district record, another outright district championship. They're number 2 in the class of 4A. So definitely one of the teams to be on the lookout for as they get closer to it. In that same district, Hereford grabbed a playoff spot. And the fourth and final one, Randall has the third one, is going to be a play-in game tomorrow between West Plains and Perryton. That is at 6 o'clock in Stinnett. So that's going to be interesting. I love playing games to see. It's a win or go home, and that's what it's going to be moving forward. So it's kind of a playoff tune-up. If you win, you're in. If you're out, you're not. So that one's going to be good to see. On the 3A side, we have Canadian. They're number 22. They are also the outright district champions. Quickly down to 2A, Panhandle has been the number 1 team all year long in the class. The Ladyettes are dominant, currently sitting at 32-1 on the season after a perfect district record. And then Gruber's not too far behind them. They're also outright district champions, as is Farrell. And then in the 1A, of course, the defending national champions, the team everybody's looking forward to see if they're going to do it again, because they've done it 26 times in their history, and the Nazareth Swiftettes, sitting at number 2 in 1A, and they also have another perfect district season. And so they're certainly looking to get back to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio and hoisting another trophy. On the boys' side, haven't seen a clear-cut, number 1 team just yet in 3-5A in that district with the Amarillo ISD schools. It's a 3-way tie right now between Palo Duro, Amarillo High, and Tascosa, all sitting at 12-2. So no outright district champion just yet. A lot of great games, a lot of close games last night. So that is definitely shaping up to be what the rest of the season looks like. But we haven't seen that team that has just kind of pushed themselves in the front of being the best in the state just yet, because they're battling each other. So very interested to see. Just a handful of games left on the boys' side, but girls is wrapped up. 3 teams that I would definitely be on the lookout for: Canyon, Nazareth, and Panhandle, to make some noise in the postseason.
Yeah, kind of the same story as most other years as well, especially with Nazareth. Jensen, what's going on down in the Permian Basin? Are we seeing any teams separate from the pretenders and the contenders?
I would say so, especially on the girls' side. We have a lot of undefeated district champions, as Zach was talking about, a few up there in the Amarillo area. Starting off, first of all, with 3A, the Coahoma Bulldogettes are going to be one to look out for competing into the Final Four and into the it's not national championship. Ooh, state championship. Well, you know what? Let's put them in the national championship. Go Bulldogettes, baby. So yeah, 12-0, undefeated in district. Just a 1 loss all season. They've been around number 2 in all of 3A for basically the entire basketball season. In some other districts down to 1A, we had Balmorhea, Buena Vista, and Garden City all finished undefeated in district to win their district championships. So while Nazareth might be, the favorites going in, hey, we have some undefeated teams to really look out for here in the Permian Basin in 1A. So definitely looking good there. As far as some 6A schools for actually, we have a little bit of overlap between myself and Pete, with Friendship winning that district. However, we will be seeing Legacy in there as well as Permian in the playoffs. So actually, they faced off against each other in the final game. Legacy getting the win there, so maybe some momentum for the Lady Rebels. As for the boys' side, some of the ones to really look at is the Compass Cougars in 3A. They had an incredible start to the season, a bit tough in district, but if they can get back to their early season ways, then they can definitely be making some noise in the postseason. Similar with Greenwood, they've had a very good district schedule, just a game behind the Seminole Indians. However, that will be the final game of the season for both of those teams. So that could be one that could end up deciding the district if it comes down to that. So those are really the 2 big ones to be looking for on the boys' side.
All right, Jensen, thank you. Hey, Pete, how are things shaking out now in the South Plains?
Boy, we got a lot of ranked teams. So if you're ranked now, that means you probably got a chance to do some damage in the playoffs. It starts in 6A. Friendship won the district. They're ranked 19th. They beat Odessa last night. 5A, Monterey not ranked anymore, but last night, Ambrosia Bro Cole, now the star of the team with Aaliyah Chavez off, hit a great move on 3 Palo Duro defenders to get free and hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer to beat Palo Duro. So I think Monterey can make some noise in the playoffs. I mean, last year Monterey won the title because they went down to D2. They didn't have to face a lot of those big teams, and they ran the table to win the title. 4A, I got to mention number 10 Seminole. They won the district title for the 8th year in a row, and they have gone 10-0 on all 8 of those years. They are 80 wins in a row in district. That is phenomenal. Lubbock Cooper Liberty also winning district. Just like West Plains, they were been a new school, started freshman, sophomore, then added juniors, added seniors, and they're flourishing. Friendship Memorial, they are just freshmen and sophomores. They're 15th in the state, and they last night, as freshmen and sophomores, beat San Angelo Lakeview 101-9. And they won the district championship. So Shallow Water in 3A, always a threat. Idalou is number 3 in the state. Lamisa's 15, but of course they lost twice to Coahoma. Whit Harrell, Guthrie, Borden County, all have chances as well. On the boys' side, I guess I would say Lubbock Cooper Liberty is number 9. They've been battling Estacado. Those two beat each other, so I don't know if they're going to, have to play a seeding game if they keep winning down the stretch. Shallow 7, Slayton is 8, Brownfield is 9. All of those teams outstanding as well. In 1A, all eyes are on Jayton. Number 1, they've won the 1A championship 2 years in a row in football, 2 years in a row in basketball, and they're trying to win it now 3 years in a row. They're outstanding. But going back to girls, some seeding games tomorrow night. We got Denver City playing Brownfield. Winner in the playoffs, loser is out. They're meeting tomorrow night in Seagraves. And so the playoffs really start for a lot of teams tomorrow night, trying to battle, trying to just get in the playoffs. And we're going to knock out those pretenders and keep the contenders after these first 2 rounds. And then we're going to see who can get to San Antonio.
Pete, that's some crazy numbers down on the South Plains. Really good basketball being played there for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, let's kind of reflect a little bit on the recent UIL realignment. It comes up, every 2 years, and it always throws every sports department into a tizzy because, you got to get out a program to follow who's going where and when and all that stuff. But Pete, well, since you're up, go ahead and tell us about the South Plains and a few of the realignment issues.
Yeah, we don't have a 6A team anymore. That's hard to believe, but when Friendship Memorial came in with Friendship, Friendship's numbers come down. They're going to be in 5A D1. Friendship Memorial is going to be in 5A D1 as well. I mean, there's Abilene, there's Amarillo, some of the Lubbock schools, Lubbock Coronado dropping down to 5A D2. So they got, they're playing Monterey to open up the season next year. A longtime district game is opening up a non-district game. So that's going to be interesting. We also have, just to throw some other ones around, we got the Shallow Water, Bushland, and Dalhart are bringing in Brownfield and Denver City. So that's a pretty strong district as well. Also, I would say the real eye-openers were in 1A. Where Jayton has won the 1A D2 title 2 years in a row. They move up to 1A D1. Also, Whit Harrell moving up. Sands moving up. Klondike moving up. All those teams were top 5 in 1A D2. They are now up in 1A D1. So, and I'm only talking football. Basketball, I mean, there are some brutal districts. So, but we're talking football now, and some new teams, new rivalries, new non-district games. And I've talked to a lot of our coaches. They can't find somebody for week 7 before district. They're looking in Kansas. They're looking in Oklahoma. A couple of our teams going to go play on the blue turf in Lovington. I told some of our coaches, go play Lovington and Hobbs. We cover them. And a couple of them have picked up Lovington, so including Lubbock Christian, who's a big TAPS program down here. So you got to see where your team ended. But, man, it's like shaking up a snow globe and seeing where things land.
There's going to be even better 6-man football in the South Plains, right?
You're right.
All right, Zach, some changes going on as well in the Texas Panhandle. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, we didn't have any like drastic changes on the football side, but like Pete said, it was a madhouse at the realignment conference. Just watching coaches go up and put all of the weeks that they need filled on the board. I mean, there was at least 50 or 60 games just sitting there, and nobody's rushing up to grab them all at once because they're all trying to figure out where they're at and what their schedule is going to be. But I think the biggest thing that we saw was just the disbandment of these 4-team districts. I think that's what the UIL really, really wanted to hone in on, to kind of give everybody that fair playing field. If you have a 4-team district, you're automatically into the postseason, whether you win every game or you lose every game. So like Pete mentioned, with the district that is now with Bushland and Shallow Water, and that very, very tough district that Brownfield now goes into, that's a 5-team. So that one's going to be interesting to see. We had River Road drop down from 1-3A D1 to D2. They're now in with Childress, Canadian Dimmitt, and Friona. We saw Tulia drop a whole classification. I think the biggest change at our conference was Plainview going from 5A to 4A, and shaking up that district now. And like Pete mentioned, Coronado dropping down to 5A D2. So now they're in with Paladuro and the Dons in their district. So lots of little mini changes. And then on the 1A side, it was just a lot of swaps. And Pete mentioned a couple of them. Jayton goes up, Valley drops down, which might help Coach Dax Allen, because they had an absolute brutal schedule last year, playing against, I think, top 10 teams for like the first 4 to 5 weeks. So they take that experience and they now drop down. So now they sit in their 2-1A Division 2. We also had Hart drop from 2-1A D1, and they're now down to 3-1A D2. So a couple little changes there. But on the basketball side of things, I mean, adding Friendship Memorial and Friendship High, it is now a 10-team district with the loss of Plainview. So 18 district games for basketball and volleyball are now on the horizon for 3-5A, which is going to be very, very interesting to see how many pre-district and tournament games these teams can get in before you have to start playing some district games.
All right, very good, Zach. A lot of Amarillo Lubbock showdowns coming up in the near future. What's going on, Jensen, down in the Permian Basin with realignment?
Yeah, well, first with the 6A, like Pete was saying, losing Friendship in that district. So, and no teams were added in place of Friendship. So it's just that 5-team district, including Midland will lead next year, Permian, Odessa, and then San Angelo Central. So that's the 5-team district there. So only one team not getting in terms of some football for that. As we look to some 4As, Greenwood moves up to Division 1 from Division 2, and Big Spring and Pecos move down to Division 2 from Division 1, and those schools are swapping places in their districts. So that Greenwood one that they join now looks like Andrews, Plainview, and San Angelo Lakeview in that one. So that should be a pretty good district there. Some big ones in terms of 3A. We had a 4-team district that was a very difficult one, honestly, to get through into the playoffs, that had Alpine, Anthony, Crane, and Odessa Compass. Compass goes out of that one, and Coahoma, San Angelo, Grape Creek, and Stanton joined that one. So Coahoma was a fantastic football team last year, so they are joining an already difficult district with Alpine making some decent noise there. So that should be an interesting one. One of the ones that dropped the 4-team district that like Zach was talking about. In terms of some 2A, we have a new school in Big Spring, Pathway Academy. So they are joining in as a 2A school. So they'll be playing some 11-man football. Ira Ann was a 2A school. They dropped down to 1A, but we're still going to be seeing the Braves play some 11-man football. That's a big point of pride for that small school down there in the mountains. Ira Ann really enjoys playing their 11-man football, and they are all about that. So despite dropping down to 1A for all these other different sports, they are still going to be playing 11-man football. So that's some of the big stuff realignment-wise in the Permian Basin.
All right, Jensen. Hey, when we come back, as West Texas Sports Extra rolls on, we're going to shift gears and talk about men's college basketball. So stick around. You're watching West Texas Sports Extra. Let's move now to men's college basketball. We're roughly halfway through February, so won't be long until March Madness sets in, and usually it is pretty maddening. Let's start things off with Zach. West Texas A&M and Eastern New Mexico, Zach, in the Lone Star Conference. But right now, it is Eastern New Mexico who is leading the way. What a year so far for the Greyhounds.
It certainly is, and I would be remiss if I did not mention that they were all in on their athletics this year. The talks before the season even got started was how good this team is going to be compared to previous years, with head coach Davin Vo on the men's side sliding over from the assistant to the head coach, and they have backed it up. They have put their money where their mouth is. They are number 10 in Division II, and they have completed the series sweep over West Texas A&M as of last night. A great showing across the board. It was a win-win, lose-lose for us because we cover both of these teams, so we knew we were going to have a winner and a loser at the end of the game, and it certainly was everything that you could hope for in a rivalry game. You could see it in the first one in Portales, where Eastern was able to come out on top by 11 points in that one, and then they follow it up with another one in Canyon. So to be able to travel and have the same production is a great showing for the Greyhounds. Like I mentioned, they're number 10. They're sitting at 13-2 in the Lone Star Conference, 20-3 on the year. While WT finally snapped a 5-game losing skid last week, they are now back to a 1-game losing streak as of last night, 8-7 and 16-9. Which is unheard of in the Tom Brown era as the head coach. This is the first year he's ever lost 5 straight games. So they are definitely in the finding their identity phase, but it's a little too late. Like you mentioned, March is right around the corner. So if you haven't figured it out now, you're behind the 8 ball, because teams are starting to roll. And then on the women's side, of course, West Texas A&M Lady Buffs have been dominant all year long. As of last night, their only 2 losses were against the number 1 and number 3 team in the country. But that is no longer, because Eastern beat them in overtime, 61-57. That one came down to the wire as well. WT outscored them 17-3 in the fourth quarter, but just couldn't find that momentum going into overtime. The Greyhounds took it and ran with it. I got to talk with Coach Huber after the game, and he was nothing but ecstatic. He got kicked out of the last game, so he said, he's like, it was great that I was able to stay in and actually watch the end of this one. He's like, it was great for all parties involved, and he was joyous, and he knows how much of a win that is for Eastern to beat WT. In fact, in our conversations, he talked about how Eastern told him, Coach, we want you to win games, but we also want you to beat WT. So he won a game and he beat WT. They split the series 1-1, but the Lady Buffs are still sitting very, very pretty headed into the conference tournament, and now Eastern has thrust themselves back into the conversation, so we'll see if they can make a deep run when March hits.
All right, Zach, very quickly, you mentioned that Eastern Mexico Athletics, they're all the way in now, and just a quick tidbit on the hiring of Art Briles at Eastern New Mexico.
Certainly so. Art Briles is now the head coach at Eastern. I've gotten to have a couple conversations with him, and the things that we talked about is how much he missed the game, how much he wanted to be back in with it. He had some stints outside of the country, and as we know, we all know him from his time as the head coach at Houston and Baylor, and leading my favorite player, RG3. The reason why I am a Washington football fan was because I didn't like any professional sports teams. I hated the Cardinals because they were awful growing up in Arizona. So my brother had told me, he said, hey, you need to pick a team. You got to stop bandwagoning. My favorite player at the time was just the kid from Baylor who could sling it. Lo and behold, he gets drafted number 2 overall to Washington. So I've been there ever since. So it was a full circle moment for me to talk to Coach Briles, have him on. But he's bringing in some talent, lots of guys from the area from National Signing Day that are going to ENMU over WT, and a lot of that has to do with Coach Briles. So the Greyhounds are certainly all in on their athletics.
All right, and Pete, Texas Tech. It's been a little ups and down here in the last bit, the men's side, but it seems like the ship has been somewhat righted, but they're still right in the middle of things there in the Big 12.
Yeah, both the Lady Raiders and Red Raiders are ranked 16th in the country. First on the men's side, they had a couple stumbles there, but this is a team that beat Duke, beat Houston. They have won some really big games this year, and some guys are getting healthy. I mean, this team can make a run tonight. They play Colorado at home, 7 o'clock, looking to get that one. And then they got, on Valentine's Day, they go to Arizona, who is beatable now, and hopefully they can keep this going. On the women's side, Lady Raiders got their 23rd win last night of the season, 23-3. They ended up beating Kansas 70-65. 23 wins, the most the Lady Raiders have had since the 2004-2005 season. Marsha Sharp back then, and Krista Gerlich got her 100th win. So they're moving up. She also and I'm not going to try to say her last name, but the 7'1" girl, Stephanie, she announced after the game last night, she does not expect her to play. One, dealing with some transfer issues. You do not want to bring her in and then have to, forfeit some games. And then two, the camaraderie of this team is so good right now to bring in a new mix and to waste a year. So she's going to be a Lady Raider in the fall. So I know a lot of people have been asking about that.
Pete, did you say 7-1? A 7-1?
7-1, yeah. In fact, she practices with the team, and they go against the women like playing men. And so there's some 6'7" guys. She holds the ball up over her head. They can't get it. She dunks it. She's going to be legit. Coach says she is outstanding, really outstanding. So this is going to give her a chance to put some muscle on. She's already, when they won the other night, she jumped around with them. She is part of the team. She's just not playing. But that's a big pickup. And then Krista Gerlich mentioned yesterday after the game, yes, they have her, but they're going to bring in great players to surround her. So Krista Gerlich has always wanted to get the Lady Raiders back to the upper echelon like they used to be. This is the first year in a long time they got a chance to do that.
Well, the Lady Raiders are what? 17-6 overall. Is that right? Or that's not the women. That's the men.
The women are 23-3 now.
That's right.
And they've had some big wins. So they got a chance to really make some noise and be in the tournament, which is something they have not been in a long time.
All right, Jensen, down in the Permian Basin, the junior colleges have been making some waves. UT Permian Basin, are they still in the possibility of possibly getting into the tournament?
Yeah, I'll start with UTPB. The Falcons men's team, it is still doable. They're 3 games back of getting into the conference tournament with 6 games to go. So it is doable, but difficult. So it's been just a lot of up and down, but mostly up since the start of the conference schedule. They were 0-6 to start off the conference schedule, and then they've been winning more than they've been losing since then. But it was just so much to overcome with an 0-6 start to conference. But hey, crazier things have happened. As far as the women's team, they are officially in the top 8. So if the season were to end today, they would be in the conference tournament. They had to kind of battle their way up, but hey, Coach Ray Booth and her team has gotten their way up into the conference tournament spots. It was a very young team and a very new team at the start of the year, and it seems to be meshing quite well because they do have a spot if the season were to end today, and a lot of momentum. So I think that I'm going to put my money on that they keep that spot and they make it into the conference tournament. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll lose some money. Who knows? Hopefully not.
Don't bet on that.
No, I'm not a betting man. So
right.
I'll put my word down that I think that they are going to make the conference tournament. I think that they are going to keep that spot. As far as the junior colleges, like you were saying, a lot of action, a lot of ranked action for the schools here in the Permian Basin. We have 3 teams in the rankings. Howard College still at the top of it at number 2 overall for junior colleges. They've been an incredible team this whole season. Actually, one of their only losses is to the Odessa College men's team. Odessa College has been losing a little bit since then, so they have dropped down, but still in the top 25. Midland College was undefeated through 16 or 17 games. So they were number 2 in the country at one point, but they've been losing a little bit since then. Still near the top 10. I think that they are at number 11 at the moment. As far as the women's teams, tough years especially in conference for both Odessa and Midland College, but Howard College is still rocking pretty well. So if I were to choose one team from the area in terms of the women's basketball, it would be Howard College going the furthest.
All right, when we come back with West Texas Sports Extra, we're going to head out to the Diamond. We're going to talk about baseball and softball. You're watching West Texas Sports Extra. Okay, we're going to talk baseball and softball now. And Pete, we're going to begin with you with Texas Tech. The Lady Red Raiders in softball off to a 6-0 start. And we kind of expected that because of how good that team was last year. And it looks like it may be a repeat again this year.
Yeah, they have added some pitching help, some real experienced players. got a big win at Texas A&M. It's always great when you can beat UT or Texas A&M, and the win in College Station, that sticks it to them. So they're 6-0, and this week, incredible games. They're in Florida tomorrow. They play number 5 Florida State. It is on ESPN2 at noon. They also got number 8 Nebraska, number 23 Florida A&M. I think they're playing Northwestern. So they're really, off to a really, really good start. And it is college, the national championship or bust for them. Red Raiders, they're picked 9th in the Big 12. So they have something to prove. Tim Tadlock excited. His team playing at Globe Life Field this week. They got Oklahoma to open up the season, then play a couple more games. And so we're going to see what they got right off the bat. But teams are definitely excited to get going on the baseball side and softball. I mean, they just have a brutal schedule, and Coach wants them to lose early because a lot of these teams they're going to see again in the College World Series. And let me just mention LCU softball, not off to a good start. They are 4-6 right now. LCU baseball, 2-4. They had to go play number 3 UT Tyler and got swept. Wayland softball off to a good start. They are 3-1. They're hosting Tabor College this weekend. And then baseball 7-5. They just beat number 20 Texas A&M Victoria in a doubleheader. So things picking up on the diamond, starting to sparkle. But we're really still honing in on baseball right now, and I'm sorry, on basketball. Right. And we got to get through that so we can really get to baseball and softball.
And Zach, West Texas A&M, the women's softball team off to a very fast start. The Buff baseball team, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right, and Pete said it right too. We're getting through basketball season as much as we can, and then we can fully transition to the diamond and the spring sports. But we still have caught up with the Lady Buffs and the Buffs and the Greyhounds baseball and softball teams, as well as Amarillo College. So we have a lot of teams that we are still covering right now. The Lady Buffs are number 8, 10-2 on the season right now. A little early for them to have 2 losses, very similar to Texas Tech. It is very much national championship or bust at WT and the legacy that they have had, and just getting over that hump against UT Tyler. That has been they're the back-to-back national champions for a reason. So getting over that hump and being able to win that when they get to the super regionals or whatever round that is obviously the goal. But 10-2 on the year, but they're outscoring opponents 100-8 in that 10-2 record. So while they do have 2 losses, they haven't been by much of a margin. I think there was 3-5 and then 4-6 was their actual losses. So very, very close games, but they are still dominating. They will be at Eastern for 2 games this Saturday. And speaking of Eastern on the softball side, they are 4-3. So they're kind of middle of the pack right now, still fighting through. And then like you mentioned, Greg, WT baseball 1-5, have not found their footing yet. They have been in games for most part. They've had leads and they've got come back on. So I think if they can start fast and hold it, we could see a new team for Coach Hall and the Buffs moving forward. And then in the same breath, the Eastern baseball team also 1-5. So in the very, very same boat. And Amarillo College baseball also 1-5. So a 1-5 has seemed to be the trend for our teams here in the Panhandles on the baseball side. But Amarillo College, their 1 win was against Blinn College. It's their 2nd win over a top 5 team since they've rebooted athletics. So a little bit of momentum coming up. They have Kansas City Community College coming in on Friday and Sunday. And as we know, Amarillo College doesn't play at a regular field. They get to travel to the Sod Poodles' hometown, and they get to play at Hodgetown. So Friday and Sunday, some AC baseball, and then WT will be at Eastern. So we get both of our teams to play then.
And Jensen, UTPB, softball rolling up some victories early on.
Yes. I really quick want to say, Pete, you were saying that Texas Tech is going to be playing in Florida State. Please come on Texas Tech. As a Florida grad, come on Texas Tech.
Right.
Exactly.
Take down those Seminoles.
That's how I feel with the basketball. I'd need Texas Tech to beat Arizona. Exactly. We are Red Raider fans across the board when they're playing rivals.
College is all about rivalries, and in this case, we're all rooting for Texas Tech in these rivalries. So let's go Raiders, huh? Okay, so let's talk about some UTPB softball, like you were talking about, Greg. 7-2 start to the season, and I was talking with the athletics communications teams, and they were saying that their records only go back to 2011. The team started in 1997, but in terms of the full records and game by game, they only have back until 2011. So on record, this is the best start through 9 games for the Falcon softball team at 7-2. So definitely looking to be something to look out for as potentially getting into the conference tournament. In the preseason rankings, they were picked to finish last in the Lone Star Conference, and Sul Ross State right above them in second to last for the preseason. But I mean, UTPB is, like I said, 7-2, best start on record at least, and so maybe they are going to be making some noise. As far as baseball goes, UTPB had also a very difficult start to the year. They are 2-4, but that first series was against Angelo State, picked to finish second in the Lone Star Conference, and I believe number 12 in the entire country in Division II. And UTPB lost pretty bad in the first 2 games, but got a win in the series finale. In fact, shutting out Angelo State. Probably not going to see that a whole lot this season. A team shutting out Angelo State, but UTPB sure did it. And then the real issue for UTPB is giving up so many runs. In just the 6 games, they've already given up 13 or more runs 4 times out of 6 and losing all 4 of those games. One of the bright spots for UTPB has been a local kid, a true freshman, Dalen Jeffcoats, out of Andrews High School. In the last game, he put up 2 home runs. So he already has 4 of them on the season, 8 RBIs. So Dalen Jeffcoats is really making a lot of noise as a true freshman. If he keeps this up, he might be one of those to look out for freshman of the season in the entire conference. At this rate, hitting on average a home run every other game, that would probably do it. So I don't know if he'll keep up that pace, because that is quite impressive. That would have you finish with 81 home runs in Major League Baseball. That has never been done. Not even Barry Bonds got close to that one.
Sign him up.
Yeah, who knows?
Arizona State legend, Barry Bonds.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, but who knows? Dalen Jeffcoats is definitely making a lot of noise early on in the season, in this true freshman season. So definitely looking good there. As far as some junior colleges, Midland College baseball is still undefeated at 7-0. So they are definitely ones to look out for. The Odessa College softball team started the season ranked number 6, had some very difficult goes in the first tournament that they played. 4 of the 5 opponents were ranked preseason. In fact, I think all top 10, maybe top 12 we're looking at for their opponents that they faced off against. But they have righted the ship a little bit, and they currently stand at 6-2 through 8 games for Odessa College softball. So a lot of good action, and a lot of very good action for the Falcon softball team for UTPB.
All right, guys, I want you to get your thoughts together. We're going to place the ball on the tee, get your square-toed kicking shoe on, because when we come back, we're going to have you kicking your extra points, okay? So think about it, and we'll find out what's on your mind. Let it be anything. We'll make it broad. You can just talk about whatever you want to talk about for your extra point, okay? You're watching West Texas Sports Extra.